Hi, I thought it might be a good idea to take you through some of the ideas and concepts behind the next outcome. And since you can't be here because you're at celebration evening rehearsal and I'm in my office, I thought I'd try this new PowerPoint tool to talk you through some of the things I would have talked about if we had have had a class today. So let's look very quickly at the next outcome in this really brief video. First of all, I guess it's worth saying that you need to think about these concepts beforehand. So, and read the material carefully. It'll come out in a package on the day it's announced. Read through the material. There's about 7 articles that are there, I think, from memory. Have a look at that. Some will immediately appeal, some won't. You'd only have to do 2, remember. And you've got to choose 2, which you'll compare in terms of critical interpretations of one of the key characters, Macbeth or Lady Macbeth. There are several feminist perspectives included, and it might be worthwhile, I say elsewhere, to think about that word feminist and what it means to you and what it means technically. You could choose to compare 2 of the feminist perspectives, but you might find it easier to compare a feminist perspective with a different perspective. In other words, sometimes if the perspectives are quite similar, it can be quite difficult or tricky to point out the differences. So one tip might be to do one of the feminist perspectives alongside another one. But keep in mind that your own opinion is really important too. So, but it is up to you, and that's kind of important to think. Which ones appeal to you? As I mentioned before, some words you might want to explore. One of the words I mentioned, feminist. The other word is psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis. It's not as hard as it sounds, and you don't need to be an expert, but you might find a critical approach which is based on a psychoanalytic approach. And so it might be worthwhile doing a little bit of quick research on what that approach might include. When you've chosen your 2, read them again, really highlight them, make some point form notes. Think about things like, what's this critic arguing? What's their evidence? Are they using quotes to back up their case? And what's missing from their piece? What aren't they thinking about? What's missing in their thinking? Keep in the back of your mind so that you'll be asked to say which you prefer and why, and as well as talk a little bit about how your views are similar or different to the critic. So there's a couple of things going on there. You might want to agree largely with that critic. You might want to disagree largely with that critic or those critics. You might find them tough to follow and they're challenging. That's to be expected. These are not student writing. These are Shakespeare scholars at work. So keep in mind that you're only actually writing about 200, 300 words about each of the critics. In a 1,000-word, 5-paragraph essay, that's what it really will amount to. I'm really interested in, a couple of 100, 200 or 300 words about your own opinion. So you don't have to know Freud's psychoanalytical theory or be a feminist expert to make some kind of big picture summaries of what this critic's saying. Then finally, use the 5-paragraph plan I provided to you to plan out the essay, making sure you give yourself plenty of space for your ideas. The paragraph 4 bit, your opinion, is really important. Make sure you include quotes, even plan to use some cool words to express your ideas. Look at the criteria, which is on the Schoology. There's 10 marks available for structure and expression, so certainly make the most of that if you can. Finally, final piece of the puzzle, write it out in Word, submit it in Schoology by the due date. The cut-off time for submission is 11:59 on the day it's due, which is the Sunday night. So, I can't, it'll certainly say late. Now, I can't extend that for an outcome. You will lose some marks if you submit it late. I hope that gives you a sense of what this outcome's about. Don't overstress it. It's one of the marks for Unit 2, and you'll be followed by the exam. Enjoy the rehearsal day and celebration evening preparations, and I'll see you tonight at those celebrations.